Oh, now
Oh,
we're live. Yes.
we are live. How are you?
Morning,
Good morning,
Charlie.
Amy.
Good.
So I'm Charlie Bengal, CEO of Remax Allegiance, and my co-host is Amy Lassen, an associate broker with Remax Properties in Colorado Springs, and we're both Tom Ferry coaches. So this morning, and I have to give all credit to Amy, this is really going to be Amy's topic. I'm just almost along for the ride. We want to talk about processes and running your business like a business. When we were preparing for this event last week, we were talking about how you can only get so far running your business by memory, right?
Mm-hmm.
Running a transaction by memory. And it works when you got one, maybe two deals going, but then if you get super busy, things start to fall through the cracks, right?
Right.
Not having a checklist or an assistant to keep you on track becomes an issue. And suddenly it's a day before closing and the lender's like, hey, where's the termite inspection? You're like, oh my God, I forgot to order it. And it's problems. So it's amazing to me the number of agents that we speak to within our respective companies and within the ecosystem of Tom Ferry. They're still running their business from memory. They haven't taken the time to have checklists and processes. So that's today's subject. There's your intro. So where do you
Okay.
want to take it, Amy?
Well, I want to speak to a couple of things you just said that about how many agents are running their business from memory. In all fairness to all of us, I think there's two big reasons that's the case. One, we all got into real estate without a heck of a lot of guidance.
Sure.
It's, here's your license, here's your desk. No, how does it go? My old school broker said, here's your desk, here's your phone. Good luck, dude. You're on your own.
Right.
I'm like, that's your training
Yeah,
when you
right.
get into real estate. And I don't know that things have changed a heck of a lot. Some brokerages have more training than others, but
Mhm.
it's hard to say that we put in the time, the 3 years of law school or the 10 years
Right.
of medical school. Like, no, that doesn't happen. So the turnkey step by step isn't really common.
Mhm.
And also, a lot of reasons people get into real estate is I like doing things my way.
Right.
Don't tread on me. Don't tell me to write stuff down. Right.
Yes.
So I think there's two things going on. We get into it's low barrier to entry. We didn't have to be trained, so we weren't, and we like to be free. Number three is the human condition, which is information and data and I wish I knew the exact number. Like,
Mhm.
the things we have to know used to double like once every 20 years, and now it's like every 6 months. Like, how
Right.
often do you have to update your phone or learn
Yep.
new software, or our office changed all of its whatever and now we got to completely change. Agents used to blame my broker if they ever changed software, like they'd broken real estate. And it's like,
Right.
welcome to the modern age.
Yep.
Stuff changes. You can't stick with 1.0. We're on
Right.
12.8, right?
Yep. Yep.
So those are my
But,
three.
but, but I still want to use the MLS book, Amy.
Okay, fair. Which gets us to if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Right.
So this is the reason a lot of us don't have systems, is because you're free to choose whatever you want. Okay.
Yes.
And I think it's hilarious that of the two of us, you're the analytical and I'm the artist, and I'm the one who loves processes.
It's
But
true.
but it is my art, quite frankly. So
Mhm.
people like me, so if you're listening and you're like Charlie and you like to have things in order, you may or may not have put them there yet. If you're like me, you're not sure, right? But I will tell you, if you can just commit to process as craft,
Mhm.
you'll have just as much fun with it as the analyticals. And then it'll be way more satisfying.
That's a really good way of looking at it, right? So make it your own process. Have a
Yeah.
process, but make it your own
Oh,
process.
heck yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Okay.
Well, and forgive yourself for the fact that it's going to take time to learn. Okay, you're not going to systematize everything that you do. You're not,
Mhm.
or not at once, right?
Right.
Pick one part that needs to be codified and
Sure.
work from there. Okay, last thing, for those who have not heard of the Getting Things Done system,
Mhm.
David Allen wrote Getting Things Done in 2001 and then revised it in 2015. And it's the stuff that all of us in this modern age need to know about being human. When 200 emails come into your inbox every day, and the multiple ideas and all the shoulds, and like, we have so much stuff coming at us.
Right.
How do you process this stuff? What is your step-by-step, easy to remember process for filing everything and moving
Mhm.
on to what you were actually supposed to? We talk about the squirrel factor as though ADD is just an epidemic disease. Well,
Mhm.
it's kind of a symptom of the age that we live in, right?
Yes. Yes.
Whoa, look at that.
Right.
Shiny object it's like we're all living on the Vegas Strip, right?
Yep.
That's
Yep.
welcome to modern living. So in all fairness to all of you listening, if you are not organized and you are struggling and this call is like, I don't know. Yeah, you're not alone. We are all struggling with this and we're going to help. Okay.
Good.
So step by step, we'll talk about the different types of things you could put in place. Maybe you could make yourself a 52-week plan and in 1 year, have everything completely done.
I like it.
Your life will be different.
Cool. So start us off.
Okay. Basics. Each one of us needs a marketing plan.
Mm-hmm.
How are we putting ourselves out there, right? So the plan is easily 12 months, right? That'd be great. Let's plan out the year. And you can start anytime you want.
Right.
And that can live on a whiteboard. It can live on a dashboard. I can share a couple of different tools that will work for that. A lot of us, it's out of sight, out of mind though. So your marketing calendar up in visual is probably a good idea, right?
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, if you have it in Google Drive, you have to go and find it.
Right.
Having it literally in front of your face at home, at the home office or at the office, I think is a great idea. Yep.
Yeah. I have designed and forgotten more cool processes than I can tell you because they're in my drive somewhere.
Right.
So if it's valuable to you, find a really prominent place for it to live in your business, okay? So a 12-month marketing plan needs to exist. The other part of marketing and lead gen is managing your contacts, right? It's the people we know, it's the people we want to know better, it's the leads that are coming in, and any sort of follow-up system. So your marketing plan could be as simple as a whiteboard or a document.
Okay.
Your client management could be a couple of different ways. So CRM is pretty basic, right? A client relationship manager, a customer relationship manager. Some people still don't know exactly what that means. It's software that manages contacts, okay? And I'll have people say, oh, my brokerage has SkySlope. My brokerage has .loop. No. That's not what I'm talking about. A client relationship manager is a place where you write down the person and the contact information. It could be hundreds, it could be thousands of people. And then the notes from the last time you talked to them, they're tagged as a buyer or seller or an A or a hot or however you want to categorize. So CRM, absolutely vital. Marketing plan.
And it's, by the way, it's not your phone, right? The contacts in your phone is not a CRM. It's better than contacts on a piece of paper, but it's not a CRM. And ideally, taking this CRM discussion a step further, and then we can move on. The system is telling you who to contact every day based on how you've categorized them. So you don't go to the office and go,
what should
who do I need to call today, right? It tells you, right? Contactually, I'm not a huge advocate of because they're owned by Compass now, right? But it says you get an email from them every morning, something to the effect of this is what you need to do today. And it lists the people that you need to call, and it lists the tasks. You can also put tasks in a CRM with due dates and whatnot. These are the tasks that you need to work on as well. So anyway, just to clarify the CRM, it's not your phone. And if you have everybody in your phone, fantastic, but let's work to get them into a proper CRM. So
okay, but you brought up something, and this goes back to maybe the qualifying disclaimer we had up front, that I want to add a few of the points you just said. If your contacts live in your phone, then when somebody needs the name of a good electrician, your assistant can't handle that.
Right.
You're on the beach, you've got to stop everything and look it up because you're the holder of the information. So that's not a system, actually. That's a tripping hazard, okay?
Yes.
The other thing is what you said about having a CRM that says, okay, here's where we are now, here's where we are now. Most of us wake up unemployed every single day.
Right.
Wait, what do I do for a living? Right? We reinvent real estate every day, and that is exhausting. So back to getting things done, David Allen, he may have taken this from someone else, but he said our brains were meant for creative thought, not storage. You can't put it all in there and then just hold it, right? And sometimes I say to the people that I coach, imagine that your brain is an attic and the boxes are everywhere. Like you trying to remember all this stuff is freaking you out. Right? We carry that mental clutter around with us. I love that you're smirking. And it's making us stressed, right? It is time to organize the attic, right? Get it down on a list, get it down on a process. Don't overthink it, and then get back to doing the creative work of your business, right?
Yes, and a place to be able to keep track of every conversation that you have. And your phone is not not realistically going to do that. The place
No.
to keep track of the kids' names,
Yeah.
their birth dates.
Yeah.
I just got a puppy, and the puppy's name is Dave,
Sure,
right? So next time you call me, what do you say? How's Dave? And I'm thinking, how does she know the name of my dog? You know,
Right.
right? So anyway.
Yeah, do you ever have a doctor come in and say, well, Amy, how, it's been a while. I haven't seen you in a year and a half, but last time we talked about your sore knee. I'm
Right.
thinking, man, this guy's a genius.
Right.
Nope, he keeps records.
Exactly. Yeah, he writes everything down. It's called charts.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's not cheating, by the way. The other thing that CRMs can do, just in case anybody's not clear, depending on the one, you can do bulk email delivery. They can be a communications portal. Something like LionDesk as a CRM has the video email component that BombBomb does. Sometimes you can text from them.
Mhm.
Some of them do have a little bit of transaction flow too, but mostly they're for managing humans and the frequency with which you talk to them. So that's one way, but I want to share, I think what we're all hoping for when this isn't a class though, but when you attend a class taught on real estate or some sort of a seminar or presentation, I think you're hoping for the secret sauce.
Yes.
Magic beans.
Let's find the secret sauce, Amy.
Yeah. And everybody knows CRM, blah, blah, blah. We've all heard that one. So here's my little magic beans for the day, and this is from my friend Elizabeth. She has a spreadsheet, and this is old school. So if you are working at a really high level, if you're doing 100 transactions a year, the thing about spreadsheets is they don't scale.
Right.
All right. There's just a limit to how much business that can manage. That is not her scale. And so this really, really works for her. So at 40 transactions a year, she manages a database of 125 people. And yes, she has a CRM, but she doesn't really live in her CRM. She loves the spreadsheet she designed. So these 125 people get a pop-by gift from her every single quarter, and she can see at a glance who got the pop-by gift, right?
Okay.
Did they get the annual review? Have they gotten their market update for the year? When was the last time they had a conversation? When was the last time they gave her a referral? Because by the way, these are her top referrers.
Okay.
She's got their MLS number in there. It's like everything about this person is just this super, super cheat sheet.
Okay.
And it's kind of her genealogy chart of business. She's tracking where her business came from, the majority of it over time, and then get the most of her attention. So that's a system that you might want to consider ripping off. Because talk about being visually driven. The thing about a CRM is you see one record at a time.
Right.
And you can export it to a CSV file, but if you want some sort of a genealogy chart of referrals, you might want something like that.
So she uses Google Sheets, Google Drive for that?
Sure. I don't know if it's Excel or Sheets, but it probably is Sheets.
Right. Okay. Good.
Okay, so marketing plan, manage your humans. And the marketing plan it gets really granular, by the way. There's a lot of components in there. There's probably some checklists for things, but you got to figure out where to keep that. Then presentations. We all need to have organized presentations. What is your buyer presentation? What is your listing presentation? And I'm a strong advocate of having elaborate versions of both. Don't cheat the buyers. Don't believe that driving them around is enough and that they don't need a presentation. Those of you who took my class know how strongly I feel about this. You'll have happier buyers and raving fans and more referrals. So have strong presentations for both, and then have strong processes for both. So where does your process live, right? Somebody says, hey, Charlie, I'm thinking about buying a house. What's step one, right? So it needs to initiate a protocol to make your life easier and their experience better, right?
So can we dive into that a bit? I mean, it really starts with when you first book that appointment, right? Or when you first get them on the phone, it's the qualifying questions. It's figuring out what their motivation is. And, we have a scripts book, and we have the questions that I'm happy to send to anybody who wants to shoot me an email, charlesbingle@remax.net. The qualifying questions for a buyer, the qualifying questions for a seller. We have a great script for online leads, qualifying, right? Yes, you just want to show them the house, but you want to get a little bit of information on them before you do that.
Yeah.
So I think it starts with that, and not just winging, that first interaction, that first call, that first meeting, right?
100%. 100%, both of them, right? So both buyer interaction and seller interaction, we need that initial questionnaire, right?
Yes.
Really, why is now a good time for you to sell? Most people don't care. How soon can I be there? Listing appointment?
Right. Yep.
How soon do you need to get moved? Why is this an important time for you to move? Well, it isn't. Oh, well, why did you call? My mom forced me to. She's sick of me living in her basement.
Right.
If we don't ask the question, we won't know, right?
Yep.
So,
Ask more questions. That's always a theme.
so we could let's quickly bullet that out, Charlie. So a complete let's pick listing process because I think it does have more moving parts. A complete listing process includes the seller questionnaire, the upfront seller questionnaire, the pre-listing protocol, which is your email, your video, your however you do it. Maybe it's a checklist, maybe it's a bomb video, maybe it's a pre-produced video, some sort of pre-listing packet, right? Something printed that you have delivered. So your pre-listing touch.
Yep. The RE/MAX Allegiance marketing book. Go on.
Absolutely. Thank you. And then there's all your research. Okay. We haven't gotten over there yet. Now we've got to absolutely prep. We've got to do a ton of research online on the seller or sellers, and then on the property itself and on the neighborhood. We got to prep. We got to be ready. Then we show up. Then it's our personal interactions. Actually, in our class, the Art of Listing presentation, we cover a lot of that, and it's today. So anybody who wants to come to the Art of Listing presentation, see you later. So then be prepared to engage with them in a very personal way, because I think a lot of people choose us. What is that rule of thumb? People work with people they like or who are like that.
Right. Yes.
So be prepared to create good rapport, right? To engage with people, to acknowledge everyone, including the pets. Like talk about the time that I sat and petted someone's filthy cat for half an hour and I had to leave with my hand out the window and the hair flying because I'm allergic to cats. They loved their cat. I petted their cat.
Right.
So make sure that you have a plan for how you're going to interact with everyone. What is your plan for being in their space? What do you write down? What do you record? What do you ask? Right? And
where do you sit?
Right. Exactly. And yes, and I have a plan for all of that, and that's also part of the checklist and part of the class. So when do you do what? And we get to debate healthily whether or not there's one way to do it, because there's multiple ways to do it.
Sure.
But then what are the components of your listing presentation? And a lot of people say, well, I brag on myself and I show them the CRM, and I'm like, did you show them all your marketing? Well, I told them I do marketing.
Right.
You can't tell somebody about pretty pictures. You got to show pretty pictures.
Right.
So how many elements does your listing presentation have? And I think it needs to be very thorough. And if you think it's too long, some of it can be a leave behind. So again, here, all of this is part of your listing process. Okay. Did you educate the seller up front about the inspection? Well, no, they didn't want to hear it. They were sick of listening to me. Really? I had a client so pissed. She said, I sat across the street. It was the same cat, bizarrely. I sat in my car with my cat for an entire hour while they did that home inspection. And I thought, they were done in an hour?
Right.
How did I fail to tell her, leave, and it's going to be at least 3 hours?
Right.
So, huge mistake on my part that I didn't walk them through all the steps of what would happen, right? So I've even had, I take the girls at the office out for drinks at Christmas time, and they tell me about what nightmares all the other agents are and how they don't prepare their clients. They're hi, so-and-so over at this other brokerage wants to show your property Saturday morning. And they're like, nobody shows houses on Saturdays. I'm like, since when? Thank you. Right? So how are we not educating them about showing? So put all of those things in your process, including a vendor checklist, a moving checklist that includes how to get rid of hazardous materials, all that, right? Then what's your under contract process? How do you keep the seller in the know every week? And then how do you wrap it up? So all of that is part of your listing process. And then for the buyer, it's similar, but then you have more of a post-closing, because sometimes with sellers, they move away.
Right.
And there's less follow-up.
Yep.
With buyers, there's this whole post-closing follow-up. So that's what I would say for those two.
So if somebody's watching us now and says, I have none of this.
Yeah.
Where do they start?
Okay, great question. Well, we can share our list of lists, but even that might be overwhelming. So here's what I would say is look at your business and say, if I had this one thing in place, that would be the most satisfying or the most stress relieving to me. Like pick one.
Yep.
Okay? And it doesn't matter what it is. I don't care. Whichever one speaks to you, identify that one.
Yep.
Ask us for whatever resources we have, and or Google it. I was kind of shocked. I had somebody ask me yesterday, how could I possibly get any information on this? And I thought, well, if you Google it, you'll be drowning in results.
Yep.
So, and then commit the time. And I think this speaks to process overall. And that is, when do you ever work on process?
Yeah, that's hard.
Oh, I didn't have time for that.
Right.
Well, sure you do. Okay. The truth is we spend more time trying to catch up from the stuff we didn't prepare for than we would if we had just walked through it methodologically. What is the word? Methodically.
There you go.
So I had somebody in one of my group coaching, and he was an older agent. He's been doing this long, like 35 years.
Mm-hmm.
And he was telling me that his buyers are driving him crazy. He said, I drive them all over. I'm writing offer after offer after offer, and they're so unrealistic. And I said, did you walk them through the stats when you did your buyer presentation?
Right.
Did you show them, here's average days on market, here's list to sell ratio at the time of contract, right? You show them 3 days on market, 104% of asking. Did you show them these numbers? He said, I have time for that crap. He said that. I have time for that crap. I said, you have time to write offer after offer after offer and put them back in your car? And he burst out laughing because he was so stuck in his head that his way was the only way to do it.
Right.
See that. So for those of you who think, holy guacamole, I just don't have time. You do. You have time to get your time back, and you're going to have to force it, right? So whether it's showing up at the office an hour earlier every Wednesday to spend organization time or whatever it takes, I would block it out.
Good. Okay. So do you want to show them your list of lists?
Sure. It's kind of messy, but I'm happy to. Okay, so kind of messy, and bear with me while I make this other one bigger because this one is a really small font. So I have 2 different lists of lists that I created, and I'm sorry that I didn't revise them for this call. That would have been helpful. But this first one, this one at the bottom, list of processes, this was more big picture. You know, what's your lead generation plan? Like if we don't have a plan, we're making it up. What is your marketing schedule? With all the pieces planned out and the prices estimated, right? I mean, if you're going to do quarterly pot buys, what are they? They're chapstick and sparklers and a ribbon, and I'm ordering them from X place. Figure all that out. You need a farming schedule if you farm. People say, well, I sent a just listed, just sold card once and it didn't work. That's not farming. Okay, so have your farming schedule completely built out. Your open house checklist. How many of the agents that you and I coach, Charlie, say, I've tried open houses, they don't work?
Many.
The truth is everything works, guys. We just got to do them better, okay? And you're not required to do open houses, by the way, but if you're going to do them well. So have a process for that. What is your social media posting, marketing plan, and schedule? What is your business budget, right? When somebody says, hey, I could sell you a miracle, right? For only $2,000 a month, I'll fix all your problems. Well, is that in your budget? I have a friend who says that having a budget has been the easiest way for her to be able to tell people, sorry, I've done my budget for the year, that doesn't work. And she doesn't have to argue with salespeople anymore. Do you have employment contracts, right? Are you prepared to bring on an assistant or several? Do you have detailed job descriptions? Would you like to? Standard operating procedures manual, and really this should be online, okay? What is your operating procedure for every single thing that you do? If you've just hired your first or second assistant, get them to help you codify this for anybody who will come along in the future. What is your buyer presentation, your home buying guide? Contract buyer checklist. Okay, what happens when the buyer goes under contract? There's got to be a plan for this, right? What is your after closing, your post closing follow up for buyers? What is your referral plan? I have a friend who, and I've shared this before, who teaches a class on referrals. She generates easily $40,000 a year in passive income, although it's not so passive because she's very engaged. But she has an entire referral plan. She tracks every single referral through the process, has a congratulations component at the end for the other agent. It's just excellent. So figure out what your referral plan is and codify that. What is your business coverage plan? This is a point of pain for me when I was in leadership at my brokerage. People would leave town and my phone would be blowing up at 9 at night on a Saturday that something's gone sideways and no one can reach so-and-so. He's in Cabo, right? So do you have a plan for keeping your business in order when you're out of town? Pre-listing, whatever it is, packet or something else, your listing presentation, your listing marketing plan, your team org chart, your onboarding and training plan, your investing plan, meaning your retirement plan, and an exit strategy. How about some of those for starters? Then I got granular. So like you were saying earlier, Charlie, what are your buyer interview questions, right?
Right.
Do you have a buyer presentation with statistics? And I'll tell you which statistics. Actually, I think next week we teach statistics to know and when to share them. So see you then,
Oh, good.
guys.
Okay. Yep. Tuesday at 2:00 Eastern time.
Correct.
Yep.
Do you have lender partners in place? And maybe everybody's like, sure, I know a lender. That's not what I meant. Like, know their products, know what they're good at, have that really well-crafted email that lists all three of them and says, here are three great local recommendations, and let them choose.
Yeah, I actually have it on on my letterhead with my logo, and it's a handout. It's pre-done. It's professional, right?
Correct.
It's not an email with, hey, call Joe at B of A and here's his number and I mistyped his number.
Good point. Oh, but then here's the other things that you can do, right? Does your lender partner participate in marketing costs? And do you guys do open houses together? And do you do interviews together? And are they part of your media content? There's so much you could do with a lender partner plan. Okay.
Are they a team member? Really? That's the question to ask yourself right now. Is my lender a team member or not? Lenders, ideally. Lenders.
Yeah, right. What is your showing plan? Here's the thing. When somebody says, oh, I showed them 200 houses, they haven't found one, I don't think you know what you're doing. And actually probably starts back here.
Well, and do you share with your buyer prospects about how many homes you show before your average client buys? In other words, you're planting the seed of, we're not going to look at 100 homes.
Sure.
No, my average client buys after they've seen 13 homes. Because you know what? Especially if they're a first-time home buyer, they have no idea.
Sure.
They have no idea.
Well, and I think showing them the market statistics will be helpful. When you show them that based on their criteria, these 30 are under contract and these 3 are available.
Yep.
And they're going under contract 4 days on market, that could help.
Yeah, the number of, and I know we're about to run out of time, but the number of agents that cut corners with buyers is scary, right? We all have at least a listing presentation that is paper and a folder, right? We all have that, right? Or we print out the toolkit CMA and it turns into our listing presentation, right? Because we check all the pages that are the filler pages.
Sure.
But with buyers, there's no presentation, there's no setting of expectations. And I tell people, I don't care if you've bought once or 10 times, the market is different. And you need to educate your client on, can you have a home inspection? Will the seller do repairs, or is it for informational purposes only? What's the average days on market? What's the average sales price to list price ratio? Are you going to get 10% off every list price? No. Are we sharing that with people? Because they don't know. And it doesn't matter if they're an experienced buyer or not.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you've just totally wrapped up this call so perfectly with 1 minute to go. So here's the sermon that I want to wrap up with. Please, please trust me. Don't give me the feedback that they didn't want to hear it, that they didn't have the patience for it. And I hear this all the time. I asked them if they wanted a presentation. They said no. I have never once asked a buyer, would you like me to explain the process? Any more than I ask agents if they do. I just tell them.
Right.
So just say, this is my process. Meet me at the office. I'm excited to give you a copy of my free home buying guide, and then walk them through everything.
Yeah.
Teach them about radon, teach them about everything, walk them through the process. Now here's the thing, for those of you who are still cringing and thinking that maybe I'm too fussy, or I have more time than you, or I'm more organized than you, I am a true artist, okay? I do not have more time and I am not more organized.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, it is so much easier and so much less time consuming to get raving fans and copious referrals than it is to chase cold leads.
I like it.
It is way easier to be organized and follow up with. And here's the other thing. How many agents in your office complain to you about their crappy, unrealistic client, right? My client doesn't get it. My client made a problem. My transaction's blowing up. The other agent's an idiot. Every time you hear yourself complaining that things are going sideways, look in the mirror, because you are the only one who can control your process. And every other person, I know they have a say in it. But if you were absolutely the most calm, the most put together manager of all of it, you're thinking ahead, you're making sure that other people don't drop their parts, people won't get upset, they won't have unmet expectations, and they won't be crabby. So consider taking on the list of lists one at a time. Pick one, fix it. right? If you did one a week for a year, you would have a beautiful, beautiful system. And a year is not that long, right? You were wishing for some of these things 5 years ago. So
Yeah, oh, totally.
yeah, so commit to building them a little at a time and get your time back.
Awesome. I think that's where we're going to leave it. Hey, thanks, Amy. Hope you have a great 4th, and we'll see you soon. Take care.
Bye,
Thanks.
everybody.
Bye-bye.